edition of Brunch with Bud, brought to you by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria, where there's always love at first slice. It's the Manchild here, along with my counterpart, Boy Green, talking sports with you, and we're about to bring in our co-host here, our third host of the Brunch with Bud segment. It's my former partner from the Bud and the Manchild program, going all the way back some 25 years. Let's welcome in the one, the only, Bud Poliquin. Hello, Arthur. How are you tonight?
25 years. 20,
yes, sir.
25 years.
Quarter of a century.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe I've known you that long.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Isn't that crazy?
It's frightening, but here I am. So good morning to you, and happy holidays as we get closer to Christmas. So, what do you got? What do you guys?
Well, let's start local, and then we'll build our way from there. It's kind of like a house of cards that's fallen down, and we'll try and build it back up as the segment goes on here. But let's start with a very disappointing performance out of the Syracuse Orange basketball team this week, falling to Hofstra. The Pride came in and took the Pride out of the JMA Dome. Tight game, controversial calls down at the end. If you want to get into the nitty-gritty, we can get into that stuff. But more importantly, it's just a bad loss for Syracuse on their home floor in December to a team that they certainly put on their schedule with the intent of beating. Now, to just offer a little bit of something here to this whole thing, besides just the idea of Hofstra beating Syracuse at the Dome, this Hofstra team did just beat the Pittsburgh Panthers in Pitt as well. So they've got back-to-back ACC wins on the Hofstra Pride resume now that currently sits at 8-4. But this is also a team that lost to Columbia. So we can get into the whole story here. But bottom line, Syracuse losing a December game at the Dome. This is a lot of more of the same, Bud, in terms of what's been going on with this program in recent days. So a big siren essentially screaming through the streets of central New York these days about what is the immediate future, this season future of the Syracuse Orange basketball team. Give me the temperature, man. Where's the temperature right now after this loss to Hofstra?
Well, I think the knee jerk is one to say, run for the hills, but it's not even Christmas. And I'm not a person who's going to say anything has been decided yet. But, they're 8-4, are they? 6-4. They're 6-4. And they've lost at home to Hofstra. They've got 4 losses. It's not even Christmas. So when I say it's not even Christmas, so nothing's serious yet, when you've got 4 losses before Christmas, including one to Hofstra, which, as you just said, lost to Columbia. Never mind they beat Pitt. They lost to Columbia. If Columbia can beat Hofstra and Syracuse and Pitt can't beat Hofstra, that says more about Syracuse and Pitt than anything else. But having said that, I still have to hold to what I've said all along. Their depth is going to win the day, and they're still going to make the tournament. Although I feel silly saying that after this, but on the other hand, if they can't make free throws, then they can't go to the tournament. That's period. Full stop. You must win the free throw game. You've got to get to the line, and then you got to make shots at the line. And if you don't do both of them, you're not going to the tournament. And in this town, that begins and ends all sentences. Are you going to the tournament? Yes or no? And right now, 4 losses before Christmas, can't make a free throw. That says no. But because it's before Christmas, I say not so fast to throw them out of the realm of thinking.
Hey, just to put that in perspective to everybody watching right now, Syracuse is dead last. Over 300 schools are listed in Division I college basketball, and Syracuse is dead last in free throw shooting as we speak. So it hasn't just been, one of those, I got a few guys on the team, or just foul the center there. Let's hack a this guy, hack a that guy. It's not the hack-a-shack. You can hack anybody on this team. None of them are making free throws. Most of them under 50%. And as a team, they're barely across 50% as a team. That means they're only making 1 of 2. Like you said, Bud, that can't last. I don't care what you are. You're not going to be a tournament team if that doesn't turn around. And it should. They have guys on this team that can do better, but right now they're not doing better. Go ahead,
and Bud, before you answer, I just want to tell you some of the teams that are with Syracuse at the bottom, right?
It really doesn't
Syracuse is last in free throw percentage.
You don't have to do this.
At 56.8%. Here are the schools they're competing with. The Little Rock Trojans, Mercyhurst Lakers, App State Mountaineers, the Maine Black Bears,
the Bears,
Alcorn State Braves, and the Jacksonville State Gamecocks.
All right, there you go.
Well, look, dogs that chase cars don't last for long, and college basketball teams that don't make free throws don't last for long either. So all bets are off if they don't start making free throws. That I think we can all agree on. You're not going to win enough games shooting 56% at the line. Period.
So improve that, Bud. So, okay, they're awful. Again, not just awful. They're historically inept. They're the worst free throw shooting team in the entire league. Is suddenly a light switch go off? Oh, wait. Oh, this is how you make them. Oh, well, thank God we discovered that. Or are they just screwed? Because, like, what is suddenly going to click that has not clicked so far this season?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, everybody knows I'm going to come back as a psychologist. When I come in my next life, I want to be a psychologist for a bunch of reasons. And one of them now would be what's with these talented. They're talented enough to get paid, by the way. So I don't feel bad about, criticizing, scolding paid athletes who can't.
Right, they're not amateurs anymore, right?
They're not amateurs. So they're free game. So we got a bunch of paid professional basketball players who can't make free throws. To their credit, though, everybody knows that when they stand the line, they want to make them. You got to believe they're really practicing, off games and during practice sessions.
Maybe.
So there's something going on physically. They're good enough to get paid. We believe they're practicing like crazy, and we know when they go to the line, they want desperately to make them. Why all of that isn't resulting in 70% shooting, 75% shooting? It's got to be all up here. It's got to be a psychological thing at this point, and I have no idea how the mind works. What the mind wants to do can't actually make it happen physically. I don't know why mind and body are not in sync.
So Autry is to blame. He's not motivating his guys enough. He's not getting them to make the shots. I hear you clear as day.
How you deduce it? And what I just said, how do you arrive at that conclusion?
Sticking words in your mouth.
Hammer nail. Terrible. I got you.
How you can say after listening to me, you can disagree with me that this is a body and mind disconnect. But how you say that's the coach's fault? Well, that's
come on, coach. Get out there and shoot for him.
I am officially flabbergasted. Okay.
Anyway. Like I said, it's like a house of cards, and we'll try to build it. So to go from that kind of low light of the week, Syracuse falling to Hofstra, let's go to another low light in the world of professional football, and that was the injuries this past weekend, Bud, that were rampant, but a couple of big ones, including Patrick Mahomes and the official elimination of the Kansas City Chiefs from playoff contention. They are out. They will not be in the playoffs. There is no path now. Even Chris Jones at the podium was like, huh? What? We're out? Oh, I didn't know. Oh, that sucks. So anyway, Patrick Mahomes, the injury and the demise of the Chiefs. Is this a trend, Bud? Will the Chiefs just be right back next year?
Everybody I'm reading says they're going to be back. This is just a one-off. The Mahomes will come back better than ever. I don't know. They got a lot of problems. I've read stuff that says they've got problems that need fixing but can be fixed. I've read things that say it was just a wacky, crazy year. They'll be better next year. That they weren't that bad this year, 6-8, is not indicative of how good they were on the field. I don't know. The record is the record is the record. But what I would say, the NFL, that was one of the darkest days of recent vintage in the NFL yesterday. Sunday. Holy smoke, I'm forgetting the day of the week. Right. Sunday was a bad day in the NFL because you could argue, I'm not saying you win the argument, but you could argue that the best offensive player in the league, Patrick Mahomes, and the best defensive player in the league, Micah Parsons. Again, you can argue this, but they're certainly in the top 2, 3, 5. Nobody's going to disagree with that, I don't think. At least among quarterbacks. He's got to be in the top 5, and Micah Parsons has got to be in the top 2 or 3. But on the same day, within hours of each other, those two guys are out for the year. And the NFL, that'd be like, the NBA using, SGA and Jokic, within hours for the season. That was a bad, bad day Sunday was for the NFL. And not that I feel bad. Like I got way worse things going on in the world than the NFL. But in context, that's a bleak day. That's a terrible day for the NFL.
Well, Bud, let me extend that further. Is it a bad day for the NFL in terms of this? The Chiefs had gone, prior to what's about to happen, to 7 straight AFC championship games. They had been constantly in the Super Bowl, winning Super Bowls, losing Super Bowls. Now that chess piece is removed off the board. Everyone, I admitted it. I either loved watching the Chiefs or I would hate watching Chiefs. Damn it, who's going to upset this team? Now they're not in the mix. Is that a dark day for the NFL? Is there some other team that's going to step up and command our interest, or no Chiefs affects the ratings, affects the eyeballs, affects the viewing experience?
No. The NFL, they could play if the Super Bowl was between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Arizona Cardinals, it would still get Buffalo ratings. I mean, it doesn't matter who's in the tournament. Period. The next thought is, in the spirit of competition, I think you want the Chiefs in, because you want to beat the Chiefs on the field. If you're going to win the AFC the AFC title, and if you're going to go to the Super Bowl and then you're going to win the Super Bowl, you'd like to know that somebody along the way knocked the Chiefs off, and not the gods. The football gods didn't beat the Chiefs. Team X, Y, or Z did. So I think the NFL and pro football fans, would have been better served if they were healthy enough to try to defend the title, and then they get knocked off by somebody. And right now, I'm telling you now, people can dissect the Bills all they want. Their defense this, their run defense that. They got 17 healthy playing. The Bills are the team says or thinks. My opinion is Josh Allen is the best player in the league. And, I mean, what he did to the Patriots on Sunday was, very Josh Allen-ish. So if anybody says, but there are no buts to this guy. He's great. He's an all-time great player, and the Bills are going to be a very tough out.
So in other words, the Bills Super Bowl isn't going to mean as much because the Chiefs weren't in it, so they didn't earn it. So there would be an asterisk on that Super Bowl. That's what I'm picking up then.
Lurch, take over.
Yeah, they can't. He's in irritability mode.
He's in a feisty mood.
Interesting.
Very feisty. And we're going to go into another feisty topic right out of this. Yeah. Because I did a video last night on the coaching candidates that are out there. Diana Rossini, one of the NFL insiders, put out a list of serious candidates she believes the Giants are, really seriously thinking about. And it was a list of 5 guys, some of whom would be likely suspects, like the Green Bay Packers DC. You see him right there, Jeff Hafley. But also on the list is that guy in the foreground, and that is the one, the only Marcus Freeman, the head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And Boy Green and I, off air, were getting into a very spirited discussion. Listen, I want to be clear about what I'm going to say, and then you can comment on it, Bud. But first of all, I think the world of Marcus Freeman and what he's done at Notre Dame. I think he's a terrific coach. I think he's a terrific young guy. He's only 39 years old. He's a guy that never really made it to the NFL. I mean, he got a cup of coffee in the NFL as a player. He has not done any coaching in the NFL. His entire coaching resume is in college, and he obviously has done a terrific job so far at Notre Dame. But the idea, and he's on this list that Diana Rossini put out of the 5 candidates, and I ranked them, and not to spoil it for people that haven't seen it, but I put him at number 5 on my list. And the reason
come on!
And think poorly of the guy. The guy he has no NFL pedigree. You can't bring him in and turn him into the coach of the Giants, this team that has had all these problems, that finally may have a quarterback. And you're not going to put a guy with 0 NFL experience in the coaching world. 0 NFL coaching. Not a fabric of him, not an ounce of him has been an NFL coach, coordinator, anything on the NFL level. And even though he's done wonders at Notre Dame, you can't just install him as the Giants head coach. So I don't think it's a realistic thing. I know his name has been floated. I think it's a fascinating muse, but beyond a muse, I think there are people that have a lot more on their resume and are far more qualified to take over this coaching job with the Giants. My colleague here obviously disagrees with me. Boy Green, I know you disagree with me. But where do you stand on this? Then I'll let him go crazy, because he's going to go crazy about this. Go ahead.
This would be very interesting, because there's another team called the Giants in baseball that took a kid out of the University of Tennessee to be their manager, who's never spent a day in the big leagues. I don't think he spent a day in professional baseball. I don't even know if he played in the minors. I wish I was more I wish I knew this was coming so I could do a little research. But I know this guy's never coached anywhere but in college. And they're going to give him the San Francisco Giants, one of the storied franchises, the New York Giants, the baseball New York Giants, and now the baseball San Francisco Giants. And now the New York football Giants might be doing the same kind of thing, bringing in somebody who's a college guy, and let's see what he can do. I'm very dubious. I don't know. I agree with you. I don't know how it's even possible to imagine that he's a kid. He's 39. I got two children of my own. Both of them are older than this guy. And to think that both of them could be the New York Giants football head coach, at their age is kind of preposterous to me. And I agree 100%. He's a terrific college coach. We've seen so far he is anyway. He seems to be built for Notre Dame in a lot of ways. And I would think, boy, Mr. Notre Dame Edson here, Boy Green wouldn't
want him to leave Notre Dame anyway, right?
Yeah, why would you want him to go?
Keep your coach. What do you need him for? We don't need him in New York. Keep him over there in South Bend. He's fine.
He'd reject the offer anyway. So I just want the Giants to offer it so he can say no.
He would
say no.
The Giants.
1-for-1 Notre Dame.
He comes in interviews. The Giants offer him the job. He goes, nah, Notre Dame.
Go Irish. See ya.
We got our own contract.
If they gave him the kind of financial security that he would be able to command, and the longevity of contract, and it's ironclad that, if you're lousy, we can fire you up to 2 or 3 years. No, I need 5, 6, 7 years, whatever the number is, years, and I want 100% of the salary guaranteed, despite my record. He would go, and why wouldn't he? He'd go to New York to coach the greatest football athletes in the world, rather than being with some semi-pros over there at Notre Dame in the middle of Indiana. You were just there. The campus is
a beautiful
lovely.
Place. Beautiful place.
The campus is lovely. Go 5 miles in any direction, north, south, east, and west, and what are you doing? You're standing in a cornfield. Okay.
Well, that's why I didn't go to the cornfield. I went to Notre Dame, where it's perfect.
So I'm not so sure that you're right that he wouldn't. He would. I think he'd cartwheel out of town if he got the right contract and the right money.
It was always a silly thing I used to say when I was in the country. We'd come out to the farmland and I'd scream out the window, "There's ears in them there corn." They were listening to us or something. Yeah, the Midwest. Nothing against farmers, corn country, farm country, or anything. But Bud's right. I mean, when you're talking about the media center of the world versus South Bend, Indiana, and they have a wonderful institution there and a great tradition, among the greatest traditions in all of sports. But he's not going to say no to the Giants, but he's not going to get offered the job, in my opinion, anyway. I think it's an interesting exotic hire, but I don't think the Giants are in a position to be exotic these days. The Giants need wins. They need sure things, or as close to sure things as possible. And I think, hopefully, again, I'm not ownership. I'm not in charge of the hire, but I would like to think that they're going to go on something that's tried and true versus something that's like, that dart, if you chucked it hard enough, it might land right in the bullseye. It might be great, because he could be great. He could be a future great NFL coach. I have no clue, but I'm not spinning the wheel of fortune here. Oh, yeah. All right.
Well, it's very similar when Syracuse hired Adrian Autry. Wow. Like, why? What was so appealing about him, other than he was Adrian Autry, former Syracuse guy? What's so appealing with Marcus Freeman, other than, and it's a big other than, I know that he's done wonders at Notre Dame. That's apples and oranges. That's not pros. That's not 30-year-old men who are making, tens of millions of dollars. That's not New York City. South Bend is not New York City with the media and the expectations and all that. I don't know if he's ready for that, but he might be. I don't know if Autry's ready for the job at Syracuse, but he might be. So I'm with you, because I don't know, because I don't believe, I'd go somewhere else. I would have gone somewhere else with Autry, and I'd go somewhere else other than Freeman.
First off, I take great disdain for Adrian Autry and Marcus Freeman. I don't care what kind of fruit you're talking about in your basket, pal. That's incredibly disrespectful. So get the hell out of here. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. And then Lurch says, well, what I'm looking for is he sets up his dating profile for the Giants head coaching search.
That's right. It is like a dating profile.
I want a sure thing. Tell me this, Lurch. What is a sure thing? I thought the Giants were pretty sure that Brian Dable was going to be the answer, and he wasn't. There's no sure thing. You have to get it right. I don't care if it's exotic. I don't care if it's A, Z, zig, zag. You get it right. That's what it's all about. So there is no sure thing.
just look. But if you swing and miss, let's just be logical for a minute. I know you love Notre Dame and you love Marcus Freeman, and like I said, to me, when it was first mentioned, I was like, "Ooh, this is so intriguing." It's kind of like it's like a side dish that I've never tried. I mean, it's very interesting. Okay, but when I get past that, honeymoon phase of interesting, and I look at what the Giants currently are, what they need to do, I just think they can answer a lot better to a bad. Let's just say the hire is bad. Okay. Right. If it was Freeman gone bad, your defense is bad. I mean, he was the coach of Notre Dame and we rolled the dice. If you brought in, say, John Gruden and it went wrong, your defense is, well, the guy won the Super Bowl. I mean, he was a Super Bowl winning coach and he's got 1 million years of experience. He's been a head coach in 2 places in the NFL already, and he's been a proven winner when he's been in those head coaching positions. Or even a guy like Lou Anarumo, who's never been a head coach, but he's just been in all these organizations, winning situations. He's coached really good defenses. He's been applauded by his own colleagues around the league for being one of the better defensive coordinators out there. Like, it just, you can defend the failure better, dare I say. You hope that none of them are a failure, but you can defend the failure better if you hire somebody who has more of a resume than if you just swing and miss, and a bat goes flying into the stands. That's, to me, what Freeman would be. All right, that's the way I look at it.
Notre Dame boy,
a conservative organization that is the Giants can afford that kind of crazy swing. Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead, Bud, first, and then we'll let Paul talk back.
Notre Dame boy, just listen up. I have 2 words for you.
Okay.
Jerry Faust.
Jerry Faust.
Great high school coach, the best high school coach in America. He steps up to Notre Dame and gets swallowed alive. Jerry Faust. You know Jerry Faust, right, Mr. Notre Dame?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. So this guy could be Jerry Faust, going from college to the pros. Goes to the pros, could get swallowed up. They had no business hiring Jerry Faust because they thought, wow, this could be cool. And I think the Giants would be taking a big, big leap. And Lurch is right. You might be right. This could be the hire of the century.
Could be.
But wonder if it's not. Wonder if he's Jerry Faust.
Sure. Jerry Faust. Great call. Let me get my reading glasses here at the bridge of my nose. Okay. Yes, I just want to do a quick reading session with you guys. I got a list to read here. Let me make sure I got it. Okay. I'm going to read you a couple of names.
Hey, listen, when you get that age, you need reading glasses. You won't be making fun of us. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. It's some bifocals here. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let me read this list. Ben McAdoo, Steve Spagnuolo, Pat Shurmur, Joe Judge, Brian Dable. Okay. Those are all the coaches.
Spagnuolo shouldn't be on that. It was like an interim for a cup of coffee. So take him off the list.
Yes.
Take him off.
He's still on the list. He was an
But the ridiculous hires we made, Joe Judge, McAdoo, I thought was going to be awful, but at least he was the OC before he became the coach, and they thought they knew him, and he stunk as a head coach. Joe Judge.
Every coach.
Joe Judge is the perfect example in a different way of swinging for the fences and failing miserably. And now
don't be afraid. Don't be
stare at him and go, oh my God, what were they thinking? Oh, this idealized, like he could all put it into words, and he was the greatest interview in the history of mankind. Paul, he couldn't coach.
And guess what? After the Joe Judge era, the sun spun around the earth, and we woke up the next morning.
Yeah,
we didn't all die.
10 years of misery. Listen, we don't want to be like your team, the Jets. We want to start winning tomorrow, pal. We don't want to be in this cycle of hell forever. Let's just keep making mistake after mistake. You got to minimize your mistakes and be smarter about what you're going to do and not do. Come on. Have you not learned that?
I just read your Giants head coaching list. If anyone hasn't learned it, it's not you. You want me to get you a mirror for Christmas? You can look at it. Like, look at this list of Giants head coaches, man.
I personally don't think there's anybody great out there right now for the Giants. That's part of the problem.
Sounds like Marcus Freeman. Sounds like that should be a pool they should explore swimming in.
No,
but
thanks.
The thing that really just bothers me, it's not that I want Marcus Freeman to leave. I love Marcus Freeman. I hope all you crazy NFL people stay the hell away. But that Lurch in our pre-production meeting that doesn't exist, that no one can ever watch again, he just had his nose a little too high in the sky at my guy Marcus. I'm like, excuse me, you don't want her? You don't want my girlfriend? Why wouldn't you want her? She's attractive. She's phenomenal. She's got a great resume. And the fact you're like, I wouldn't want it. Well, guess what? She would want you, buddy.
I know my franchise. I know what their values are.
Okay.
I have a sense of their ownership and what their ownership kind of the way that their ownership thinks. I'm not in love with it all, Paul. I mean, listen, I root for the Giants, but I also look at, the organization critically, and I'm willing to say this is really dumb. They got to get off of the standard. They should change the way they think in a lot of ways. And I think there are some things that are frankly very arcane about this organization that really need to change, or they won't evolve, and they will be perennial losers if they don't start to figure it out. And dare I say, get with the times. But I just it just doesn't line up for me that they would swing at a guy like Freeman, even though I think he could be a good coach somewhere down the line. So I don't want to hammer Marcus Freeman because that's not really what this is all about. It's just about fit right now for this franchise and this coach. And I just don't see it as a fit right now. I just think it's too big a swing that if it fails, the Giants will, they'll just face plant. And the Giants just can't afford to face plant again. They have to try and progress in some forward direction right now. So I think they're gonna look at somebody who's a little more tried and true. At least I think. I'm not making the hire. Yeah. Joe Shane might be a lunatic. I don't know, but I just don't think they'll go that way.
And this is just my final nugget on all of this, and it's simply this, is that the Giants, when they look in the mirror every morning, they do lick the fingers and then do one of these. They go, we're the Giants, baby. They've been to the playoffs twice in the last 14 years. You said, I don't want to be like your Jets. Well, look at the mirror, pal. We're both losers. So it's about time that the Giants realize, get off the high horse, okay? The oxygen's a little better down here, closer to the Earth's surface, and realize that you stink. And when you accept that you stink, perhaps you can trek forward. Right now, the Jets can't trek forward because they keep thinking, but the Super Bowl's with Eli. He's been retired for some time. It's time to smell the roses and get with the program that it's been terrible for a long time. And the Giants need to wash their hands and fix it and get it right. But 2 playoff appearances in 14 years? That sounds pretty Jetsy to me.
Not that long ago that they won a Super Bowl, though. We don't have to go back to 1969 to go find.
Is that the bar? Is that the bar? Wow. We have more Super Bowl than this. Come on, man.
No, we have a bunch of them, and we don't have to go back to 1969 to find one.
Elitist nonsense.
No, I'm an elitist big. I'm just stating the facts. Go ahead, Bud. I'm sorry. It's your bit.
No, I got nothing more than what I've already said. So we'll see where they go.
This is perfect. And let's just do this. Today's video is brought to you by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria. Let's just take 30 seconds, a little cooling off period, dare I say, and we'll be back. More Brunch with Bud right after this word from our friends at Cam's.
When you think of Cam's Pizzeria, think about 2 of your favorites. Their zesty buffalo chicken wing pizza or their tasty chicken bacon ranch. Over 16 specialty pizzas made fresh daily with the best ingredients. Indulge in their homemade calzones, subs, wraps, salads, and their famous cannolis for dessert. They're all made with love just for you. Order online for 10% off at camspizza.com. Locations in Camillus and Oswego. Cam's Pizzeria. It's love at first slice.
We're back, Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. Get on the train, become a subscriber as we climb our way towards 500 subscribers. We're giving away some really cool stuff. Right now, we're giving away a Hanson Brothers autographed 8x10 photo, but it's got all 3 Hanson Brothers on it, autographed by them. You remember the Hanson Brothers from the movie Slapshot. When we get to 425 subscribers, we're giving that away. We're getting very close to that right now. Boy Green's giving away a really cool Jets program from back in around 1969 or somewhere around there, Boy Green. What year is that program from?
1972. Come on, Lark. I know you're terrible with years, but here we go.
This program is not as old as their Super Bowl trophy is, but there it is. Look at the $1 price tag on this thing. Fantastic. In beautiful wrap. That's going out the door once we get to 450 subscribers. And you've seen that golf club. I've shown it time and time again. A brand new Hybor XL Cleveland golf driver, courtesy of our friends at Play It Against Sports when we get to 500. So some cool prizes going out. All you have to do is click. No price at all. No money. Just click subscribe and you are in. Bud, were you going to say something there? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just along for the ride, boys. See where we're going next.
I want to do this with you guys because I was not part of this, but you 2 guys were. So I'll let you guys have the floor here for a little bit. But you are, Bud, known to our listeners as, dare I say, a thespian. That means that you quite often, don your shirt and tie and head on out to the theater. And this past week, both of you dragged Paul. Or I shouldn't say drag, but you you lured Paul and his fiancee Tatiana to go see a wonderful musical at the beautiful Landmark Theater here in good old Syracuse, New York, one of the great old time theaters, gorgeous place. And you saw the musical Wicked. I have never seen Wicked. Paul has now seen it for the first time. So dare I say some form of reviews are in order here. So I don't know which one of you want to go first, but the floor is yours. I'll just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, as they say.
Well, I will defer, and I'll let my boy go first. Whatever he has to say, fire away.
Well, Bud, I want to shoot you straight. That's what I think is best about this, is that we're honest with each other. That's the building block of any relationship. My viewing of Wicked, to be candid, was among the bottom 2 theater performances I've ever seen in my life, Bud. I'm going to be honest. Now,
he's only been to 2, though.
You've seen Hamilton and Wicked, so it finishes second to Hamilton, is what you're saying.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying. No. I just said it was within the bottom 2 of theater performances I've ever seen. Now, I've only seen 2, so I guess it's there 2 at the top or 2 at the bottom. It was, and I'll be honest, Bud.
This is as vague as it's ever gotten, Bud. I don't know where this is going, Frank.
What kind of a comment is that? But go ahead.
I'm not a thespian. I'm not. So what I've tried to be is open-minded throughout this process. And I'm going to be honest, Bud, with the seats, they were essentially front row. I was wowed. I mean, I didn't know much, Bud. You pulled me aside before we actually got in and said, do you know anything about, have you heard of Wizard of the Oz? Wizard of the Oz? I'm like, yeah, Bud.
The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz, right? I said, I might have heard that story, sure. And but I didn't know the Wicked elements of prequel nature and how it all went together. And man, there was just some spectacularness. I didn't want to like it. I guess that's the thing.
Wow.
Because I didn't want to because again,
not wanting to like it, Bud, and he's walked away liking it or perhaps loving it. It sounds like I don't know where he's going.
It is love. No, I didn't want to like it or theater stuff in general because Bud's just always right. So it's just sort of annoying when Bud's just like, hey, why don't you dabble in the theater? Like, so, Bud's responsible for Game of Thrones. I'm like, I guess I'll give it a whirl. It's like the greatest show of all time. And then Bud's like, hey, here's a list of movies. I'm like, I haven't seen any of those. Okay, these are all amazing movies. So no, he brought me to the theater with my fiance, and I dressed up, met all Bud's qualifications to go to the theater with Bud. You have to check off a lot of things off the list. You got to look the part. I can't bring no snacks. The drinks have to be of proper nature. And, not to spoil it for anybody, but there's just these wow moments in the middle of this play where there's just funny, there's jokes, it's lighthearted stuff where there's joking around. Then there's these big emotional moments. And then after an emotional scene, it's boom, lights go out, it goes black, and the theater erupts and I'm just looking around. I'm like, good Lord, I feel like I'm at a football game. Did someone just score a touchdown in the fourth quarter? What just happened here? So it was electric. My fiance loved it. She knew the whole Wicked thing. I didn't know anything about it outside of being there, so I had a very open mind going into the process. And man, one of the Wicked Witch at the end of before we got to intermission, and she somehow rised up and she was hanging up there. And then, but they do great with illusions, and that it looks like she's just floating in space. There, and she's just belting out a song, and I'm like, whoa, and people are singing in the audience, and I'm like, what is going on here? So it was overwhelming, and Bud is now 2 for 2. So
well, that's I feel great about that. That's just terrific. I think the theater is underappreciated by the masses, and the people who have resisted or actually denigrate. To me, it's insanity. I mean, to me, there's the big 4, as I've told you, in whatever order. It's Hamilton, Les Mis, Wicked, Phantom of the Opera. And for people who have never seen any of them or seen one and say, well, if that's all that, then I don't need any more. There's no accounting for taste. I don't hold it against anybody, but I'm flabbergasted that people would actually go to one of these, and you did. How you can come out and not say, wow, that was the greatest 2.5 hours I've spent in a long, long time. that would flabbergast me that people would not respond the way you responded. So I'm really happy you did. You told me Tatiana had a couple of moments where she was teary-eyed.
Oh yeah.
When you bring people to stand on rise to their feet in applause, or kind of huddle in tears, all in the same show, that's pretty good work. And I like to think that this is just the beginning of your continued interest in the theater. Especially, I like all kinds of theater, but I gotta say I'm a sucker for musical theater, and I think I'm glad you loved it. That's great.
And here's the follow-up, right? So we see Hamilton, and Bud, you will know better than me. I wasn't thinking about it, but we're close to stage, but not nearly as close as we were for Wicked. Wicked, we were 2 rows. I mean, I could feel their breath, of how close I was. And the uniqueness of that experience was you got the orchestra. I could peek my head down, and you're seeing the orchestra, and I'm seeing the guy, because my eyes are wandering. There's just so much going on while the play's going on. So I'm like looking up. I'm looking at even when, like when 2 main characters are speaking, I imagine that's what you're supposed to be looking at. But every once in a while, I just sort of glance off and see side characters, and then look down at the orchestra. And there is the guy, and seeing the person that's responsible for like 20 instruments, which is the guy on the far right. No, not the conductor. I'm talking about there's a guy parked over on the side. Like, he's got these wind chimes. So every once in a while, he'd grab his hand to go, ring, and then he would go over to like a little shaker, go shoo shoo sha shoo 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 sha, and I'm like, wow,
this was the
okay,
percussionist that was in
I guess, I don't know, but he was responsible for like 12 instruments.
Yeah,
he had to keep switching and
the
flipping.
Thing
and going
that gets me is people. I'll say I've seen Les Mis 30 times, 30. I've seen Phantom probably 30 times. I've seen Wicked 7 or 8 times. I've seen Hamilton 6 times. And right on down the line, I got a list of 30 shows I've seen a million times. And people say to me, well, that's crazy. I've seen it once. I don't have to see it again. Now, I'm a sports guy. I love sports, played sports my whole life, wrote about it. That's how I paid the bills. I love sports. But people say to me, how could you see Les Mis 30 times? I've seen it 30 times over 30 years. So I've seen it on average once a year. There are people just here in town who have season tickets to SU basketball. They'll see 17, 18 games a year. And in a year, they'll see 17, 18 games in 4 months, right? And people say, yeah, but the games are all different. What you just said is what I tell people. These shows are all different, because you're going to look at Alphaba here. Maybe the next time you go, you're going to look at, Glinda. And then you're looking at Glinda here, and maybe the next time you're looking at Fiyero. And maybe you're looking at the backup dancers, or whatever you're looking at.
Or look at Galinda at some point.
Galinda. So you do not see the same show every time. If you went to see that show tonight, you'd see a whole different show. Because your eyes, like you said, you're going to go other places you didn't. Oh, I didn't see that the first time around. And if you want to be, kind of silly argumentatively, what's the story with basketball, as an example? They run up and down, they shoot the basket, ball. Sometimes it goes in, sometimes it doesn't. And then whoever has more points at the end, that's it. I'm being facetious when I say, how is that not the same show every night? How can you watch basketball 17 times in 4 months and think, oh, this is the greatest 4 months? But you see one show once a year for 30 years and
yeah, we're losing it.
Well, I hope that this is not the end, but the beginning of your continued involvement and support of the arts, the musical theater arts. You and Tatiana had a great time, and I'm telling you, you've only scratched the surface. There's phenomenal shows, phenomenal performances, and let's hope this is the start, not the fade away, and that you'll go back again and again and again. And I'll do my best.
Bud, you're right. Yeah.
I'll do my level best to continue to recruit you to these things.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe you can continue to get partial scholarships along the way.
Nice. Okay.
Well, Bud, there is a level of, educating this young man, and certainly you're doing a good job of it. So you just keep right at it, my friend. It's not.
I'm a big. I took out my kids when they were 6, 7, and 8, and right on through their lives, and now I got grandkids. They're 7 and 10 and 1.5, and they're already. The guy who's 10 beat you to Wicked. He saw it when he was 8, so he beat you by how many years? So it's a great thing. I think everybody who can. It's not inexpensive. So, but if you can find the money for it, if you can find the money to go watch SU basketball 17 times a year, you can find the money to go take your kids or grandkids to the theater.
That's going to be the one thing that I threw. So 2 seats down from me was this little girl. She was dressed up like, Galinda or Glinda, whichever you prefer.
Mhm.
She was dressed up like her in a fairy costume, and she was 2 seats down. And I was like, oh, she's like 10. I'm like, oh, how sweet. That's nice. And I'm like, hey, are these tickets any cheaper for children? I'm being told no. What the hell? My kids aren't going to the gosh darn theater for those prices? Hell no. Absolutely not. Are they going to remember this? Because if they are, they're going to give me a report card when we get home, and you're going to tell me your favorite parts. Yeah. Are you kidding?
Oh, they'll remember it. I mean, some kids, that's a tough thing to take a kid that young at night because they're up pretty late. So you take them to a matinee. I took the 8-year-old to a matinee in Hartford. And so I got him off the island and bring him to Hartford and got him back on the island all in one day.
Thinking, though.
So it's
10 years old. Like
it's great. It's a great thing. And there's nothing like, there's nothing like I look to be watching live sports where people are competing. It's great, but to watch this kind of talent live. It's every bit as exciting as a basketball game or a football game. And people who would say I'm crazy have not seen these shows the way I've seen them.
And we'll get back to sports here, Lurch. Is the only nugget I just want to say is I think we all have a greater appreciation for this coming off of COVID. I don't know how it was for everybody. Everybody's got varying experiences. I'll just tell you, mine is the radio guy, which for some reason was an essential job. I'm still confused on how that was the case, but nonetheless, I got a little pass. I got to drive through zero traffic all the time. So it was some apocalyptic zombie world. And to experience that for a year plus, however long it was, I don't even know. I was getting crazy. It was like Castaway. I was by myself. So I have no idea what the actual time was to now have these live experiences. But when I'm looking to my left and my right, I'm seeing neighbors all enjoying it. The crying, me getting overwhelmed by the emotion of the singing, everything in the room. I'm like, damn, I took this stuff for granted. I just assumed I could go to this whenever I wanted to. COVID happens. Now we come back and we could do this. I think everyone in the world, sports or non-sports theater, should have a much greater appreciation that we have an opportunity to do this. And hopefully that lends more people to appreciate the theater and sports games and all these other things.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I'll just add on this theater thing is just how, especially with musicals, there's always a culmination. I'll use Les Mis as an example because I've seen that, when the entire cast is thundering away at that one song, and it's just like the music goes through you. It's like, wow, it just builds and builds and builds, and more characters come into this thing, and then all of a sudden there's this natural climax to the whole thing, and you're just like, whoa, that was crazy. Whew.
Well, I'm going to get him to Les Mis. That'll be next. I got to figure out when Les Mis is going to be near. We'll get you to Les Mis. That'll blow your mind. So.
All right. Wait for it.
Les Mis next to Boy Green.
Yeah, it'll take you to places that you can't imagine emotionally. It's a phenomenal show.
Okay.
All right, as they say, gentlemen, sports, theater, we've covered it all. Art, I guess, for next week, we'll see. But we'll recount all of Van Gogh's paintings through Bud's eyes.
No, next week is Christmas week. We're going to have a show next week? Christmas
yeah, we're working on it. We'll let you know.
Yeah.
I think we will.
We can do it.
Yep, we'll do it. We'll do it early in the week before, things get insane. So, yes, there'll definitely be a brunch with Bud. And you will be, as I know you always are around the holidays, this cheery, non-Grinch-like, lovely human being who is so excited about giving gifts and receiving gifts and the spirit.
Right there, baby.
They are Ebenezer, right, okay? So there will be no Ebenezer Poliquin next week.
Nope.
It will be, joyous Bud Poliquin. It'll be little tiny Tim Poliquin is what it will be, okay? That's what we want.
Christmas sap is what I am. So we'll see you next week, all right?
Just toe through the tulips, as they say.
That's right. That's right.
All right. That'll do it for another brunch with Bud here. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. We'll see you, folks. Take care.